When someone said Hyundai in the 2000s, most people were disgusted, thinking of Matrix, Atos and Accent for the most part. But now that same manufacturer is responsible for these. How is that even possible? So what has happened in the meantime? And how did this seemingly unremarkable brand go on to be one of the most exciting car makers of the 2020s? Join me and find out. Since not everything needs a deep look into it, let's give you a sped-up version of Hyundai's history. Hyundai Motoring Division was founded in 1967 and has been producing cars ever since. In the beginning, they were constructing car kits from other manufacturers, but in 1975, they debuted their first car ever, the Pony, a solid budget car. They entered Western markets in the 80s and still produce cheap cars. And we will slow down a bit in the 90s, since this is the first time that they showed desire to be cool. In the 90s, Hyundai wanted to play the long game and appeal to younger audiences. And that's great, because younger audiences are the most loyal ones, making them more likely to stick to the brand in the future. Unfortunately, Hyundai's lineup at the time didn't really scream exciting or young. The only car appealing to younger audiences was the S Coupe, which was quite handsome. It was later replaced by Coupe only. And these two couldn't even compare to the likes of much more exciting European and Japanese counterparts. Other than that, it was the likes of Accent, Sonata, Elantra, just a bit bland cars. Although nothing too terrible. This was their first sporty offering, an Accent GT. A rather unfortunate outing, which would fit better into the Pimp My Ride episode than anything else. Things stayed bleak until the early 2000s, when the rally craze was close to its highest peaks of popularity. So Hyundai wanted a piece of the pie too. After all, there were a lot of new fans watching, so it kind of fit perfectly into the whole appeal to the younger generation thing that they had going on. It could also show their cars as more than boring boxes of metal, so surely this would be the boost that they needed, right? Well, unfortunately they didn't have much sportiness to choose from their lineup. The only car in the lineup worthy of taking a shot in the rally was the Accent once again, which was only marginally better than the rest of the lineup, and that's kind of sad. They also tried to make a GT version of the Accent again, but the results were similar. As for the rally performance, unfortunately, unlike a Russian speech in any American movie, this Accent didn't come out strong at all. It was barely noticeable. It was too slow and unreliable to compete for the top spots, forcing Hyundai to retire from the competition entirely after only 4 seasons, leaving the car mostly forgotten. And so was Hyundai, at least in the eyes of the younger enthusiasts. They tried to bring the Coupe, now Tiburon, back to life with its Gen 2, but the redesign of Gen 1 scared everyone off, and sadly its younger brother was a butterface as well. It didn't help that the car didn't even drive that well. This first attempt at getting cool was a disaster, but the only way is up. So in their next attempt, things could only get better. In the mid-2010s, Hyundai decided to be more bold and focus on the design. And it worked. Genesis Coupe was a much nicer car than the Tiburon ever was. It was finally on par with the rest of the market. You could finally hear people saying positive things about the design of Hyundais. They also decided that they weren't afraid to experiment with some quirks and features, and so the Veloster was born. A car ideal for Doug DeMuro. Quirky asymmetrical doors got people talking, and the entire package looked really nice. It definitely got some heads turning back in its time. The performance of both the Veloster and Genesis Coupe was on par with the competition as well, so they looked amazing on paper. But paper is one thing and reality is another. Hyundai can make their cars look good and have a lot of power under the hood, but if they're boring to drive, then they would never get on par with the big Germans. According to journalists, this was exactly the problem that Hyundai had. These performance cars didn't drive like it at all. Handling wasn't the best, and they just weren't fun. They were described as a regular hatchback with more power. But at least Hyundai fixed the biggest issue that they had, that being the design. Cars will sell better if they look nice and if they're packed with features, so it was a correct first step. Now all that's left to do is fix up the driving and they'll be unstoppable. They were finally nearing the end of their ugly duckling arc, and they were finishing the awkward phase. Now they were ready to become the swan. After having some success with the new Veloster and Genesis coupes, as well as with the redesign of Econo boxes like i20 and i30 in Europe, which now looked better than some of their European counterparts, it seemed more and more that mid-2000s were the time to finally push Hyundai past the budget tier and into the more mid-range market. And the final hurdle that they had to overcome suddenly seemed pretty easy. You see, Hyundai planned this for a while. It seemed to have been planned ever since their Accent Rally Days failure. But they didn't rush things and their renaissance was now ready. Everything started with their reintroduction to WRC. But this time they were doing it right. They created an internal rally team based in Germany. And that team started development on i20 WRC. First season in the competition was in 2014 and they've been a part of it ever since. They were fairly successful as well. In their 11 seasons, they were always among the top 3 teams, aside from the first season, when they were still having growing pains. Even more impressive is the fact that from 2016 onwards, they were always in the top 2 places, out of 3. But still, they did win the competition twice, so they were doing some good work for sure. Also, they weren't really rallying simply for the joy of it, there was something else behind it. After all, not many i20s were sold because Ottena got out of his crash like nothing happened, no matter how amazing that fact is. Hyundai realized their biggest part of the being cool plan in 2015, when they secured the services of Albert Biermann, a former BMW engineering chief. This was a part of a bigger push of forming a new performance division to rival the likes of Mercedes-AMG, VW's GTI lineup, and BMW's own M line of cars. Even worse for BMW, Hyundai liked their strategy so much that they continued with it. They took these guys as well. And as if it wasn't enough that they stole everything from BMW, they decided to steal the name of their performance line as well. Or at least copied it to the nearest degree possible. A newly formed team started working immediately. Their plan? A classic recipe taken from VW. Take your C-segment hatchback, make it fast enough, and make it handle well. And remember Hyundai's rally division? They weren't racing just for fun. They were developing a lot of tech, and some of it was used as a testing ground for end car components. Basically, they were racing their expensive prototypes and had their tech trickle down to production cars. The N division managed to work fairly efficiently, and in only 2 years they had their first production car. It was the i30N. Everyone praised the i30N. With its strong looks, striking blue paint, and aggressive styling, it was worthy of turning everyone's heads around. But more importantly, it drove really well. Something that Hyundais weren't really known for before the N division came around. Enthusiasts loved how it drove, and it was also around the same price as competitors, so it had everything that it was supposed to have. It made headlines in the car world and was just a breath of fresh air. But the guys at the N group didn't get complacent, and they stuck their heads down and worked even harder. Success of i30N was followed by Veloster's release for the US market. This was basically the i30N under the hood, but still nice that the US got it, although it wasn't as well received as the i30N was. New models came later down the line, following the similar pattern, first one being the i20N, and after it came the Elantra N. These were acclaimed similarly well, but they weren't as revolutionary for Hyundai. N Division really brought the coolness factor to an entire new level for the company, and it showed with all the praise that they received. Yet they weren't done. There was an entire market segment that hasn't been touched by a mass car producer, the EVs. IONIQ 5 looks unlike anything else on the road, especially compared to European EVs. And it is a concept brought to life, which is even more cool. To top everything off, there is an M performance version of it, offering crazy performance for a hatchback. If manufacturers want us to love EVs, that's how. And N Division is currently one of the most exciting projects to follow up on. From hot hatches to rallying, and now experimenting with performance EVs, only just releasing the IONIQ 6N, which once again looks amazing. They're definitely worthy of being in the cool car manufacturer conversation now. Even their base cars have evolved so nicely over the last years. i10 looks great now, compared to what it was before, same with the numbered brothers as well, and Elantra and Sonata both look good as well. There's also a new accent. God damn it, accent! If you've stayed until the end, thank you so much for watching, and while you're here and there's nothing else to do, please like and subscribe, as it will really help a fresh new account grow at the fastest rate possible. Every like and sub counts, and helps so much, so make sure to do that. Thanks a bunch, and goodbye.